Have you ever looked up on a clear day and noticed a tiny, shimmering silver speck gliding silently across the vast blue sky? Maybe you've been lying in the grass, watching the clouds drift by, when suddenly you spot it, so small, it almost looks like a star moving in broad daylight. That little speck is actually a massive airplane, soaring thousands of feet above our heads. From the ground, it seems almost toy-like, but up close, it's a marvel of engineering, carrying hundreds of people and their dreams to faraway places. The reason it looks so tiny is because it's flying incredibly high, often more than 7 miles or over 35,000 feet above the Earth's surface. That's higher than the tallest mountains and far above the weather we experience down here. But have you ever wondered why airplanes fly at such dizzying heights? It's not just for the breathtaking view out the window. The real reasons are all about science, safety, and making flights as efficient as possible. Up at those altitudes, the air is much thinner than it is at ground level. Thinner air means there's less resistance or drag for the airplane to push through as it speeds along. This allows the plane to move faster and use less fuel, which is better for the environment and helps keep ticket prices lower. Think of it like this. Running through water is much harder than running on a smooth track. The denser the air, the more effort it takes for the plane to move. Up high, where the air is thin, the journey becomes smoother and more efficient, just like running on that track. There's another big advantage too. By flying above most of the clouds and storms, airplanes can avoid much of the turbulence and bad weather that can make flights bumpy. Pilots call this altitude the sweet spot because it's where the ride is smoothest and safest. So, the next time you spot that tiny silver speck high above, remember, it's not just up there for fun. It's using the secrets of the sky, harnessing science and nature to make your journey faster, safer, and more comfortable. That's the magic of modern aviation, turning distant dreams into reality, one high-flying journey at a time. In the earliest days of aviation, airplanes were fragile, experimental machines that barely managed to lift off the ground. These pioneering flights were short, bumpy, and often dangerous, with pilots and passengers alike facing a host of challenges that are hard to imagine today. Flying was a cold, noisy, and uncomfortable ordeal. The roar of the engines filled the cabin, and the thin metal walls offered little protection from the elements. Passengers bundled up in heavy coats, scarves, and gloves, trying to stay warm as the wind whipped through the cabin. Pilots and passengers wore thick goggles to shield their eyes from the biting wind and swirling dust. Open cockpits exposed everyone to the harsh, unpredictable weather, and every journey was an adventure into the unknown. Turbulence was a constant companion, and the threat of storms or sudden changes in weather loomed large. But everything changed with a revolutionary breakthrough: the invention of the pressurized cabin. This innovation was the result of years of experimentation and engineering, as designers sought to make air travel safer and more comfortable for everyone on board. By sealing the airplane and carefully pumping in fresh air, engineers created a safe, comfortable environment even at high altitudes. This allowed planes to soar above the weather, where the air is thin and cold, but inside, passengers could breathe easily and relax in comfort. The Boeing 307 Stratoliner was the first commercial aircraft to feature a fully pressurized cabin. For the first time, passengers could sit back and enjoy the view from 20,000 feet, cruising above most storms and turbulence. This was a dramatic leap forward in both safety and comfort. Pressurized cabins opened up the skies in ways never before possible. Airlines could now plan routes that were higher, smoother, and far more reliable, connecting cities and continents with unprecedented speed and efficiency. The world suddenly felt smaller and more accessible. This breakthrough transformed flying from a rugged, exhausting adventure into a practical, pleasant way to travel. Airplanes became places of comfort and convenience, with spacious cabins, large windows, and amenities that made long journeys enjoyable for everyone. The journey to the top of the sky began with a simple but powerful idea: bring a bubble of breathable air along for the ride. This concept not only made high-altitude flight possible, but also set the stage for the global air travel network we rely on today. Thanks to the innovation of pressurized cabins, high-altitude flight became a reality, forever changing the way we explore our world and connect with one another. The dawn of the jet age marked a turning point in aviation history. For the first time, pressurized cabins allowed commercial planes to climb higher than ever before, carrying passengers in comfort above the weather and turbulence that once made flying a bumpy ordeal. This innovation meant that flights could now soar above the clouds, where the air is thin and the sky stretches endlessly. But it was the arrival of jet engines that truly launched aviation into a new era, propelling aircraft to even greater heights and speeds. Unlike their propeller-driven predecessors, jets could climb rapidly, breaking through the lower atmosphere and reaching altitudes that were once unimaginable. Propeller planes, limited by their engines and the density of the air, struggled to perform in the thin, high-altitude atmosphere. They were often forced to fly lower, where weather and turbulence made journeys unpredictable and sometimes perilous. Jet engines, on the other hand, thrive in these challenging conditions. They work by sucking in vast amounts of air, compressing it, mixing it with fuel, and igniting the mixture to create a powerful, continuous thrust. This process is remarkably efficient at high altitudes where the air is cold and thin. In fact, jet engines are at their most efficient when flying high above the Earth, where air resistance is low and fuel consumption drops. This allows modern airliners to travel vast distances at incredible speeds, connecting cities and continents like never before. Legendary planes like the Boeing 707 and Douglas DC-8 were pioneers of this new frontier. They soared to 35,000 feet and beyond, flying faster and farther than any commercial aircraft before them. These jets made transcontinental and even intercontinental travel routine, shrinking the world for millions of people. High-altitude flight became a quest for performance and efficiency. Engineers designed sleek, swept-back wings to slice through the thin air and powerful engines to maintain speed and stability at altitude. Streamlined fuselages reduced drag, while every curve and contour was optimized for the unique challenges of the upper atmosphere. The result was a new generation of aircraft built to conquer the skies above. The jet age transformed the sky into a global superhighway. Suddenly, it was possible to cross oceans and continents in a single day, making the world feel smaller and more connected than ever before. Air travel became faster, more reliable, and accessible to millions. Every part of a modern airliner, from its engines to its wings and even its windows, is meticulously engineered to withstand and excel in the thin air above the clouds. These innovations ensure safety, comfort, and efficiency for passengers and crew alike. The push upward was more than just a technical achievement. It was a revolution in engineering, speed, and human ambition. Engineers and pilots worked together to break records, push boundaries, and redefine what was possible in the air. That's how jets changed the world, by opening the skies, connecting people and places, and making the impossible possible. Flying high isn't just about speed, it's about comfort. Most weather and turbulence happen in the lower atmosphere, where warm and cool air mix. By cruising at 35,000 feet, planes soar above storms, clouds, and most bumps. The result? Smoother, more predictable flights for passengers. Pilots use radar and weather charts to dodge the rare high-altitude storms and clear air turbulence. High flight means fewer delays and more reliable schedules. That peaceful view of clouds below? It's the reward for climbing above the chaos. High-altitude flight keeps journeys calm and on time. Picking the right altitude is a balancing act. Fly too low and thick air creates drag, forcing engines to burn more fuel, like driving in first gear. Fly too high, and the air is too thin for wings to lift or engines to breathe. Every plane has a ceiling, a maximum safe altitude, usually around 42,000 feet for modern jets. The sweet spot, or Goldilocks zone, is between 31,000 and 39,000 feet. Here, the air is thin enough to save fuel, but thick enough for safe flight. Pilots and computers constantly adjust altitude for the best efficiency, factoring in weight, weather, and wind. This careful calculation keeps flights safe, smooth, and economical. The perfect altitude is where science and strategy meet. The main reason jets fly high? To save fuel. Drag, the force pushing against the plane, drops dramatically in thin air. At 36,000 feet, the air is 4 times thinner than at sea level, so engines work less to maintain speed. It's like pushing a box across ice instead of sand, much easier and less energy needed. Flying low burns twice as much fuel as flying high, costing airlines thousands of gallons per flight. Planes don't climb straight to cruising altitude. They climb higher as they burn fuel and get lighter. This constant search for the most efficient altitude is key to long-distance flight. Every drop of fuel saved matters. High-altitude flight is the secret weapon in the battle against drag and cost. That's how airlines make global travel possible. Fuel is an airline's biggest expense, sometimes up to 30% of all costs. A single long-haul jet can carry over 45,000 gallons, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars per flight. Saving even 1% in fuel adds up to millions for airlines each year. That's why airlines invest in efficient planes, optimize routes, and even wash planes to reduce drag. Every decision, from altitude to aircraft design, is about burning less fuel. Flying high isn't just smart, it's essential for keeping air travel affordable. High altitude isn't just about efficiency, it's about safety. At 35,000 feet, a plane has time and space to handle emergencies. If engines fail, the plane can glide over 100 miles, giving pilots precious minutes to find a safe landing. This safety cushion lets crews work through problems calmly, with more options below. At lower altitudes, there's less time and fewer choices. High cruising altitude is a built-in safety feature of every flight. It's peace of mind for pilots and passengers alike. The safest part of the sky is high above the clouds. The push to fly high and efficiently is shaping the future of aviation. New planes like the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350 use lighter materials and smarter wings to save fuel and cut emissions. Engineers are exploring even higher flights, alternative fuels, and electric planes to make flying greener. Every innovation is about squeezing more performance from thin air while protecting the planet. The story of high-altitude flight is one of constant progress. Today's silver specks are the result of a century of breakthroughs. Tomorrow's planes will be even cleaner, smarter, and more efficient. The sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.